Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about some really interesting AI news out of TikTok because TikTok has just debuted a bunch of new tools and technology to actually label AI content. This is really interesting and something that has been a big problem in the industry, not knowing what's AI generated or what is. I think this is something that's going to get further harder as deepfakes and all sorts of AI content is being produced. So today on the podcast, we're diving into this, all of the implications, what we think TikTok's going to do, and what we think will happen as a whole in the industry. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Welcome to the AI Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Make sure that you go to aibox.ai, link in the show notes, to join the waitlist for our new AI platform. We're going to be launching an incredible platform that allows you to build anything you want with workflows in AI. So you're able to chain together ChatGPT and image generators and audio generators to make really powerful apps for your organization, or you can host them on our marketplace and actually generate royalties from them. So make sure to go to aibox.ai and join the waitlist. In addition, if you like the podcast, if you could do me a massive favor and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. This helps me be able to get better guests on here as they check the reviews to see how you guys are liking it. So if you could please do that, I would really, really appreciate it. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. In an effort to bring greater transparency to AI-generated content, TikTok is introducing a new tool that allows creators to label AI-generated content. So this move comes as part of a wider industry trend, which I think is really emphasizing the need for clarity about the role that AI really plays in content creation. And this new feature is going to serve not only to comply with TikTok's existing policies around synthetic media, but also to provide additional context to viewers who might otherwise find AI-generated content misleading or confusing, right? This is why I think it's important. And actually, I've been calling for essentially the same thing, right? A lot of people have been saying, oh my gosh, there's going to be all this AI-generated content, not just video, not just like text, but or images, but videos specifically. This stuff's going to get better and people are not going to know what's real, what's fake, yada, yada. And what I've been saying is I'm like, just the same way that on social media, you have to do hashtag ad when something's sponsored, you just want transparency, right? The user just wants transparency. I don't think there's like a, ban all AI generated stuff because AI generated stuff's great. And maybe it saves creators and people a ton of time, money, energy, etc. So I think it has a lot of pros to it that it's super, super useful, but just label it, right? So the same way you say hashtag sponsored or whatever on sponsored content, the user wants transparency. And I think that's the same, same thing with AI generated stuff. So it looks like TikTok's moving in this direction. Previously, TikTok had already updated its guidelines to demand the labeling of AI generated content, deepfakes, all that kind of stuff to kind of help users better understand and contextualize what they're watching. And the policy even allows TikTok to remove any AI-generated realistic images that are not properly disclosed. So, however, this new tool aims to facilitate the labeling of a broader range of AI-generated or heavily AI-edited content. Now, that is super interesting. Imagine if Instagram did that, right? They're like, they put labels on like influencers' posts. Like, this isn't actually what they look like. This is heavily AI-edited. That'd be hilarious. In any case, probably wouldn't be bad, to be honest. In any case, though, available upon video upload, the tool doesn't require creators to retroactively label their past content, right? So if you had past AI content, you're good to go. Now, I think what's interesting is there is a ton of different TikTok channels I've seen where it's like people making deep fakes. I think there's one that's like deep fake Tom Cruise or something. All sorts of stuff. It'd be interesting to see what happens to those channels. I mean, essentially, I guess they just label it. People already know for a large part, but they don't have to label their past stuff. So very interesting. When activated, the label is actually going to appear below the creator's username, indicating that the video has been identified as AI generated. And I think it's worth noting that failing to label AI generated content, which doesn't fall under the existing synthetic media policy, will not result in penalties for creators. So TikTok also revealed plans to develop automated detection and labeling of AI-generated content. This is really interesting. I mean, even OpenAI tried to have some sort of AI detection for AI generated text. They failed and they actually shut down the whole program. But I think this is going to be interesting to see if TikTok is able to pull this off. Obviously, there's a way to do it, just we haven't quite cracked the code on that yet, so to speak, no pun intended. So while TikTok is not telling us a lot about what's actually, going to happen, and they're citing concerns that disclosing details could help bad actors evade detection, it did confirm that various detection models and partnerships are under assessment. So actually, I think this is smart. It's kind of funny, in my opinion, when companies come out and are like, yeah, we're like detecting AI by doing X, Y, and Z. And then it's like, okay, sweet. You just gave the blueprint to someone to evade that. So it really doesn't surprise me they're not saying how they're going to do it. I think this initiative by TikTok aligns with recent moves by a bunch of big platforms, OpenAI, Google, who've also announced AI detection capabilities. Although OpenAI, I think, kind of failed at that. Perhaps they're going to try again. Instagram is reportedly developing a similar feature, and the EU is advocating for mandatory AI content labeling as part of its strategy to combat disinformation. Now, I, for one, usually am opposed to like most regulations and that kind of stuff. I'm sure you'll hear that in my opinions on stuff. This one, no problem with it. It's the same as labeling something that's an ad. I just think that gives you transparency, and it just stops you from like tricking people. Like, I guess the idea is like not to deceive people. So I think, yeah, this is a no-brainer. I have no problems with this. I think this makes a lot of sense. One significant change accompanying this announcement is the renaming of TikTok's AI-powered effects. Now, this is interesting, right? Because how is TikTok going to be accused of calling the kettle black? They have AI features for doing all sorts of AI effects on you. So how do they, now that they're like, you got to label it or you're going to get in trouble, we could delete stuff that's not properly labeled. So the company will now explicitly include AI in the name of the effects that they have to make their nature transparent to users. And this marks a departure from TikTok's previous stance when its bold glamour filter gained some viral status. The company did not confirm whether it was powered by AR or AI. So alongside this, updated guidelines will also be issued for effect house creators, instructing them to do the same thing. So in the course of developing these new features, TikTok sought the expertise of its safety advisory councils and industry experts. I guess they have, MIT's Dr. David G. Rand. His research indicated that the term AI generated is widely understood across, demographic groups, influencing TikTok's decision to use it. Additionally, the company plans to release educational content aiming to help users better understand the nuances of AI. I mean, that's whatever. I highly doubt their educational content's going to get that viewed. So it's kind of just like a nice to have. I think they're saying, they're doing to kind of show that they're, on the right side of everything. So TikTok's latest updates are part of a broader initiative to be transparent and responsible with AI. Earlier this year, the platform committed to the Partnership on AI Responsible Practices for Synthetic Media. Moreover, it has collaborated with the nonprofit Digital Moment to host discussions about young people's perspectives on AI advances online. I think, as these new AI labels start to appear, users might not immediately notice them until the full rollout is complete. But I think they kind of signify a conscious effort by TikTok to engage in, talking about the ethical considerations around AI in the media. This is so interesting to me, though, because it's like all of a sudden now that it's labeled AI and it's like it's artificial intelligence doing it versus, I don't know, like we've been doing like Facebook's had Facebook filters forever. TikTok's had all sorts of AI filter kind of stuff. Now that it's kind of getting big and people are like, oh, deep fake, scary, bad. Like now we're like going to make the regulations and rules and labeling. But like this stuff really has been around for a long time. Like Facebook's filters on Messenger, I swear, there's over 5 years, right? 5-10 years on that stuff. So anyways, it's interesting. It's interesting that they're making the changes now, but at the end of the day, I think these aren't really that bad, and probably labeling AI generated stuff is good in the long run.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.